Welcome into episode number 10 of The Wolf Way. I'm Tom Throp along with head coach Justin Hilton of the Westridge Wolves. And coach, we've had a bit of time since the season has ended, a tremendous season. The record of 6-5, and in my opinion, a great record. We'd love to be undefeated and still playing for the big gold ball to win the whole thing. But this has been a great season.
It has been a great season. And you have a little bit of time to reflect at the end of the season. And as I'm looking at the list of names of the seniors and thinking about their 4 years and thinking about what they've been through and watching them grow as young men, it really is more about the culmination of a Friday night. It's the collection of 4 years and everything that you do with them, from trips to 7-on-7s to weightlifting, to just talking to them about grades, to going through things together, from praying together to you just become a family. And as you reflect on that, it's a special group and been a special season.
Yeah, you talked in our very first episode about how this group of seniors came to you last fall and said to you they wanted this year to be different, wanted it to be special, and I think they achieved that in so many ways. They were great leaders. You know better than the rest of us because you saw them every day, but knowing that they were purposeful in coming to you about wanting things to be special, they achieved it.
Yeah, they did, and what they've done is they've set a precedent and an example for the next group to follow, because as we walked off the field, I had 2 juniors approach me and say, "When are we having that meeting? We want to talk about our goals."
Wow.
So, they've grown the young men underneath them as they were growing.
Yes.
And, that's what a program is. It's not, every season is its own season, but every program has its own identity. And I feel like as our program continues to grow, we just finished year 5, going into year 6, we're a fledgling. I mean, you're looking at schools around here that have hundreds of years of history. We're starting to build that, and hopefully something that when we look back as we get old and older, it's something we can be proud of. And right now, I'm very proud of that group.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And a lot of things achieved with this group. And if you will, let's talk about the seniors a little bit. Go through the list however you would like to do, because this has been a great group of leaders that were seniors this year.
It has been, and I'm going to touch briefly on it because, when we have our banquet, I'm going to go into depth and let their position coaches, the guys who've really been with them through it all, talk even more. But I am going to go through this list. Ethan Amix, statistically wise, the best running back, offensive player maybe to ever play at Westridge High School, and records that it's going to be very, very difficult for anybody to ever break.
No question. And I'm going to throw a couple real quick, and you've probably got him, but he's got seasonal scoring with 114 points. He's got career scoring with 172 points. He's got seasonal yardage with 1557. He's also like 9th in yardage, but overall, interestingly, exactly 2,300 yards rushing in his career. But Amix has been a workhorse. People targeted, we know that, tried to stop him, geared to stop him, yet didn't. They've been truly an outstanding running back from a statistical aspect of things, obviously, and the 2,300 yards includes missing 1 game this year.
It does, and every game we went to, they'd say, your B-back man, he's tough, we love him. And then I'm pretty sure that when Alvin at Morristown West saw him in street clothes, he was smiling pretty big. So, he was that impactful. So, you're right, great player, going to be missed.
Yes.
Caleb Mabb, if we're just going numerical order, Caleb Mabb, a guy that if I was going to describe the way he's matured through his 4 years, selfless, became a blocker this year as he was pretty much the number 1 receiver, for the predominant part of his career. Kickoff returner that's explosive, leader in the secondary, 5 interceptions, I believe, this year, playmaker. Just a great guy, somebody that the kids look up to.
One of the top 10 tackle leaders over the 5 years of Westridge as well. I've been doing stats upstairs in the office, but he's in the top 10 in tackles and in the top 3 in receiving, and all this, as you said, but gave it up selflessly, being a leader, to make this team work this year.
And we'll talk more about his punting at the banquet, but almost 40 yards average per punt, and just a true utility man.
Yes. Yes.
Goliath Arp would be the next one on the list. Goliath was a transfer that came in to become part of our program, earned his way in there, was a backup, the predominant part of his career, but was a serviceable one and stepped in whenever we needed him. And again, another great teammate, came in as a backup quarterback, took some snaps, and I've enjoyed watching him grow up through these 4 years.
Yes.
Jacob Bledsoe, this is going to be a hard one for me to talk about because gotten so close to him. And Jacob is a guy that coming into his senior year had been a running back in the defensive end and a linebacker. We moved him from linebacker to defensive end. He could still have played linebacker, but we moved him to the offensive line his senior year. And when I asked him, I said, you may have changed your number, which it ended up he didn't play down there. He said, Coach, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get on the field.
Yeah.
Describes him to a T.
Absolutely.
Just a true leader and somebody that I'm blessed to have known. Braylon Funderburg, he's another transfer that came in this year, and as he adjusted and adapted and grew into our program, turned into one of the better cover corners that I've ever coached. We played a ton of man-to-man with him, and just a playmaker. And when you can play man-to-man on the outside, as we've talked about numerous times, it really helps your run defense in the box.
Yes.
Carter Hobbs, kicker, self-made kicker, I believe. Came out this year, was our field goal kicker. I don't know of any other team. I know I've never coached another team with 3 kickers on it, but continued to build a relationship with the other 2 kickers, and they work together. People think, well, they just came and kicked 15 minutes. Untrue. They were out there practicing the whole time we were practicing and working on different angles and really helping each other. And Carter his leg really got strong and had a lot of confidence in him to kick one from anywhere.
Yes.
Samuel Burris, and I think we're going to have some statistics on him that we're going to talk about. But Samuel, just an interesting dynamic here of how we found out about him playing soccer. I go have a conversation with him. And if you know Samuel, it wasn't very many words that were spoken, but he nodded and agreed. And so
Smiled.
Yeah, smiled big. He's my kind of guy. Not many words, a big smile, and willing to work. And so he comes out, kicks, feels like, Samuel, you're pretty good, And so he comes out there. He's our extra point kicker, could have been our field goal kicker, and worked on just in case we ever needed him to do it. And pretty sure, you can correct me if I'm wrong, all-time extra points.
Yes, he broke a record that was held by Burton and Icino. They had both hit 34 in a season, and Samuel had 35.
Samuel broke it, so Samuel's name will be going in the record book. And just another extraordinary young man that has been an influence on our players in more ways than just football. I think that you can watch how a man carries himself, and it's a great way to judge him. And you don't always have to be showy and flamboyant. Sometimes you just got to be a solid dude, and he is just a solid man that is going to be successful in whatever he does. Super proud of him. Evan Manus. Evan Manus, the best story I've got about Evan Manus is we're in a JV game, and he's missed an extra point down there. And, if anybody knows Evan, so hard on himself. And I walk down there at halftime of the JV game while the rest of the team goes in. He's down there practicing, trying. It's like, Evan, relax. Just kick the thing. And he looks at me, and he's young and just frustrated. And he's like, Coach, I just appreciate you walking down here and talking to me. That meant a lot to me, and I knew at that point he wanted to be good.
Yes.
And turned into a great kickoff man, was a hitter on the kickoff team, saved a couple touchdowns.
Yes, he did.
And, he was kicking it in the end zone, and then he had a little leg trouble, so we started doing some directional and some accuracy stuff, and he did a great job against these return teams of placing it on the sideline where we wanted him to. And
Right.
I'm proud of Evan. Proud to watch him as he goes into what he wants his career to be in barbering and watching him grow in the classroom.
Yes, sir.
Sam Perry.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what? I know you're going to read a lot of stats about him, so I'm not going to speak a whole lot. But when I think of a football player, I think of Sam Perry.
Yeah.
Tough, a little bit undersized, but willing to do anything, and one of the key leaders in setting those goals that we had.
And guaranteed, he had set the record last year for most tackles in a season with 88, broke it this year with 100. Career tackles, and we've had some really good players on the defensive side of the ball. He has 224 career tackles. Second place, Joyner has 166. So he's 60 tackles more. Again, undersized, but not underhearted. He's another one like this team. There's a big heart in these guys, and they have proven it on the field and in the locker room and in the classrooms and around the school. And Sam's a great indicator of that.
I don't want to cheat anybody when I mention these names, but when you talk about linebackers at Westridge High School, you're going to talk about Dylan Joyner and Eli Topping, and you're going to talk about Sam Perry.
Absolutely.
Sam Perry has set the standard of what it means to be the quarterback of a defense and the leader of a defense. And I've told you this before. I've coached him since he was in the 4th grade, and he's been tough ever since I've known him. Loved coaching his brothers and have loved coaching him.
Yes.
Tanner Mims. Are we going to talk about undersized and tough again?
No doubt.
You know, and Tanner, you know, is going to go play some things at Emory and Henry, and we're proud of him for doing that. And the defensive line of him and Caden Duke was one that we could do so many things differently. We moved those guys a lot, twists and ETs and all kinds of games, and the things we could do because they were athletic and strong. And Tanner blocked that field goal to give us a chance, you know, to go try to win a game. And after I watch a film and I break it down, I go back and watch individuals and I get stats, and I go back and I watch emotion. And I go back and watch Tanner Mims when somebody else makes a big play, and he celebrates just as hard when they do as when he does. And I think that speaks to his character.
Yeah.
I love it.
Absolutely. Again, leadership, it's something the other kids, you know, they see that because they feel that excitement from him. It's huge.
Nathan Arnold, an injury robbed him of what was going to be one of the greatest seasons of any Westridge football player that had come through. I will tell you this, his name was mentioned in the conversation of Offensive Lineman of the Year in the conference, and he only played X number of games.
Yes.
People wanted to know about 55. They wanted to know if he was going to be okay. They just enjoyed what he plays the game the right way. That's a quote that was said many times about him. Came back. I was so happy to see him get on the field that last game because he's tough, he's quiet, he's a leader, and he's a team player. And those are the things in my book that make you a great football player. And going to miss him. And I just wish that we could have seen what might have been had that injury not occurred.
Right. Also a great student. You know, we've talked about a bunch of guys that he's one of them that he and Sam and Samuel all have big-time ACTs and 4.0 pluses.
Well, when you see a 4 with a decimal and another number, they're doing something right, and all those guys have that.
I didn't understand that when I was in school. I understood it, just never got there. But yeah, it is impressive to see that's part of the leadership. You know, again, it goes in the classroom. These are the guys that get down and do the dirty work in the classroom to be successful there because they know it's the right thing to do, and that's what they do on the field.
I will tell you this, a message that I've always tried to give my own children, but also our teammates is, it's really hard to be somebody on the field and be somebody else in the classroom, and the consistency of being who you are at all times defines your character.
Yes, sir.
Those guys are who they are all the time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And they should be proud of it.
Yes, sir.
Ethan Iacino, let me tell you about an offensive lineman. I have the stats written down from Coach Murray, and I wish I could just rattle them off, but it's something like 122 knockdown blocks, and I can't remember how many blocks leading to a touchdown. Phenomenal. Another name that was mentioned in the Offensive Lineman of the Year in the Region 1 6A, the big conference.
Yes.
Ethan Iacino liked to block people, and he liked to see their shoulder blades in the dirt, and he liked to let them know that he had done it. Yeah. And, you know, you got to have that ruggedness in the offense that we're going to play in, and he wasn't always that way. I'm just going to tell you, and he wouldn't mind me telling this, but from a mental and physical standpoint of toughness, he grew up from one year to the next about as much as anybody I've ever seen. And strong, fast, physical. He, if he chooses to, would be an excellent lineman at the next level, and you know, that's what I'm hoping he wants to do. We're going to help him every way we can. But as far as just a finishing blocker, one of the best I've seen.
Wow, yeah, and again, another great kid.
Another great kid.
Yes.
Morgan Thornton, the big tackle sitting out there. He was our biggest lineman for sure. Morgan changed his body from the 9th grade to the 12th grade in a tremendous way by getting in the weight room and working so hard and consistent. You know, he kept himself healthy for the most part, was always reliable. He was going to be out there ready to go play. And, you know, with what we do offensively, the linemen are challenged to an extent that people just don't understand, and Morgan responded to that challenge every single time. We've got some big shoes to fill in the offensive line.
No doubt. One of the things I'm going to point this out in my watching of the games, doing the PA and otherwise, I saw him help up his teammates. Whew. Sorry. Saw it all year. I just thought it was such a special thing.
It is.
Yeah, and I don't know Morgan. I've met him and talked to him, but I don't know him. But that character of seeing that obviously touches
And
me.
it should.
So excuse me. Yeah.
Hey, listen, this is bigger than football. People say that all the time. This is bigger than football. This is, you're right though, a hand to help you up and a pat on the back can sometimes get you through the next play.
Absolutely.
Charlie Barger. Let me tell you about Charlie Barger. Charlie knew that his time on the field was going to be limited. Showed up every day, was willing to do the scout team. Every single day, he went and got the water cooler and pulled it off the field. Not because anybody told him to. He was just going to do whatever it took for Charlie Barger to make Westridge football a little bit better. And it may not be making 15 tackles on a Friday night, but if it meant doing something at practice or helping somebody after practice, he was going to do it. And being self-aware and understanding a role is going to help somebody when they move on to that job or they move on to what they want to, what they want to achieve. And work ethic, and God gives us all talent, whatever that talent may be, and what we do with it. But work ethic is up to us, and He's got it.
And that's leadership in a different way, and very impressive. Yes, sir.
Caden Duke. Emotional leader of the team, no doubt about it. He was the guy. He was the guy that brought the energy, first guy to hug you. And I have chewed his tail a few times, but buddy, he comes back and hugs me and tells me he loves me every single time. And,
Yes.
Another one mentally tough and defensive line, athletic.
And he had 50 tackles this year. He had 50 tackles last year, which is an amazing stat from where he is playing. He is the 7th all-time leading tackler in school history. Mims is 10th, by the way. Let's look at those two in the middle of the line right there. But I've had the privilege of coaching him in basketball, and it's very similar on the basketball court. He has that emotion. Football was definitely the game that was made for Caden Duke. There's no doubt.
Well, they gave him 5 fouls, and he probably used all of them.
Every one of them, yes, sir. And tried to borrow some from people, but yeah.
Caden had a high expectation for himself, and that transpired to other folks to try to play that way. And it's not it, like you said, everybody has a different role, and not everybody's role is going to be the spokesman or to be the emotional leader, but that was his role, and he embraced it. And if I could say that one person loved Westridge football and being a part of it, it would be he loved Westridge football, and he loved being a part of it, and he was proud to be it. And the little kids loved him just because he's infectious, and we're going to miss that, and somebody's really going to have to step up and take over that role, because aside from the tackles and the stats, the glue guy of a team, and he may be the glue guy of the team, that just kind of keeps everybody together is so important.
There has to be a personality there someplace that is willing to do those and may be looked at times as crazy things. Who knows? He's going to jump around in the pregame and be that guy. But he's also jumping around in the postgame, and that's one of the great things about Caden. But he just a solid role model for those who want to walk on the football field and be a Wolf.
He is, and I'm going to tell you, and he sometimes took the butt chewing for other people. That was his role. And when he took it, everybody else had to fall in line. You got to have those guys.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Ronnie Smith.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, Ronnie stayed healthy all year. That was our goal. When we were talking, that was the goal. Get in the weight room, commit to the weight room, make your body to where it's going to hold up for 11 games where we can have you. Because when you're on the field, we're so much better. Tackles for loss, I know he had a bunch. Statistically played great. His body changed, and if anybody watched, they would know his body changed tremendously from his junior to senior year. And I think he scored 16 or 18 points in basketball last night. So apparently it helped that part too. And that's what we're trying to tell guys is you don't have to tailor yourself to one sport. Ronnie got stronger for football and went out and had the best night he's had in basketball ever.
Right. Right, and part of that with him, I've coached him in basketball, and Caden and Bledsoe and Burris and all these, and Mab that played for me. Ronnie would twist an ankle, knee would pop out, something would happen during the course of a basketball game because he's 100%. He's flying at it. And this year, he and I talked, and his dad and mom and I talked quite a bit. I broadcast every game his dad played when he played quarterback back in the day. He was healthy felt good. You know, there were little bumps and bruises and things like that, but he was not injured. And he's had some injuries in the first 3 years of his career here at Westridge. And having Ronnie healthy with Smith and Mims and Duke, that was a formidable front line right there.
It is. And, you know, funny thing on his dad was the first tackle that I ever made. I was a sophomore, he was a senior at Dobbins Bennett. First tackle of my career was tackling Ronnie's dad. So,
Wow.
But anyways, you're right. A healthy Ronnie Smith was a very good run-stopping Westridge football. And,
Yes.
you know, Mike Kopus would tell you, you know, he and Hayden Music and Bledsoe and those guys rolling in there, and just tremendous people to be around. And again, another team guy. They treated everybody from the 9th graders to the 12th graders with respect, and it was something for everybody to take note of and try to follow up. And I can't believe we just concluded talking about that group of seniors right there. And as I look at those names and think about how much football they have played and what kind of a contribution they've made to our program.
It is a tremendous group of young men with great families, and have been great examples for those coming. And you talked about the little ones looking. These guys, I think, understand their role with that. That's one of the things I always watch with my children and with people being around high school football for 50 years now, I guess, whatever, watching those who understand their role. That there are people watching, and not just on Friday nights, but how do they act when they walk off the field? How do they act around school? These guys are great examples.
They're great, and you know, a message they've heard from me for 4 years is the way that you treat people who can do nothing for you really tells a whole lot about your heart.
Yes, sir.
They treat people with respect regardless. Yes. And that's what we want. When these guys leave, we want them to be those kinds of people. We're coaching the football player, but hopefully we're molding the man.
You do something, and I know other schools do this as well, but have a senior day where the seniors go around the school and give a shirt to a teacher. I think that, and I know in the past, I think they've worn their jersey or whatever, but had a real cool T-shirt for them to wear on senior night. Another great example of these players getting to show teachers and other people in the school what they think and how they act.
And I think, you know, so we started that out. I would take them around, we would do a football jersey, and we would do it. And so now I think other sports and other groups have seen that. Thomas Gilbert asked if he could be a part of what we do. So he brought some other folks around. So it wasn't just football players this time. It was groups from our whole school, and Dr. Leo went with them, and they handed those shirts out, probably because they didn't want to see somebody like me in a football jersey. But the shirts fit a little better than the jersey. But you're right, you know, and we're thankful for Westridge High School, the teachers, the administration, Coach Richardson. I can't tell you, central office folks, they all are texting or calling and asking what they can do to help us be successful and pulling for us, and they're proud of these guys too. And Friday night on the Ridge is special. These young men are going to miss it, but what we want is for them to come back and continue to come back and help us build that tradition, so we've got something that just keeps carrying over.
Absolutely. I have some stats in front of me right here, but there were a lot of firsts and big-time record-setting this year. 2,000-yard rushers. I think that's something you change your offense and go to a running offense and can produce 2 1,000-yard rushers. That's an amazing feat at any level, at any time. Little League football to the NFL, you have 2,000-yard rushers. That's an amazing season.
So we've gone back and we've tried to find the records all the way back through South Central North, Ketron, Linview, Sullivan West, you know,
yes,
as they feed into this, and reached out to some former coaches of those places and have found there may have been 1 or 2 teams that have had 2 1,000-yard rushers on the same team. But I know it's a very rare feat. And to go along with that, yes, we could run the football, and we averaged almost 9.5 yards per play, per snap, but we also set total offensive records and scoring records. And so, you know, from an offensive standpoint, Nick Kopus, Andrew Murray, our whole offensive staff, Preston Patrick, Brian Barber, I'm going to leave somebody out, Mike Wampler, those guys, with what they did in creating this identity and getting the buy-in, created an explosive offense that at times I'm sure people looked at and thought, you know, they're just, you know, they're taking yardage, it's taking a while to score, they're eating up clock. There were very few negative plays,
right,
and we were producing at almost 9 yards a play, which anybody would take on a pass or a run. So tremendous job of play calling and preparing and making adjustments during the game.
was effective. And the personnel, the guys you just went through, and of course there are juniors and sophomores and some freshmen involved in what the success was this year of Westridge.
And nobody else can say this but me because he's my son.
Yeah.
It's hard to win with a sophomore quarterback. Now, I feel like he played pretty good at quarterback.
I would say yes, sir.
But when you can take a sophomore quarterback and surround him with all those older kids and break records offensively, then the older guys are doing something phenomenal. And the coaching staff on that side of the ball, the guys I just named, did a really good job of getting them ready to go.
Well, and great decision making by Justice. He did a great job at the quarterback position. Again, I've talked to you all season that I thought Ryan Wagner was the best option quarterback I've ever seen in Northeast Tennessee. Antoine Smith was not a bad option quarterback at Dobbins Bennett. I think Ryan Wagner's decision making is what made him so good. Justice is on his heels, and Justice is doing it as a sophomore. Wagner did it for 2 years at Dobbins Bennett and was very successful. What Justice did this year was incredibly impressive decision making of when to give it, who to give it to, and I know some were predetermined calls, but I also know how this offense works, and not many of those are like that. So it can only get better.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch it grow because now we've established that we're going to watch the passing game grow with this. That's going to be a point of emphasis in the offseason and Justice and those receivers did it all last offseason. They went out there through the winter and the summer and the spring and worked on it on their own. I'm pretty sure they stayed after school yesterday on their own and through. So that's going to be a point of emphasis, and as we get better at that part of it and continue to improve in the run game, I'm excited to see what happens.
Absolutely. You touched on earlier, Caleb Mabb, almost 40 yards a punt would be the highest average here at Westridge in 5 years. We talked about Samuel Burris with the extra points. So we made the joke earlier, you went from maybe no kickers to 4 kickers, including punter and 3, and they were all successful and did a good job. And defensively, we talked about Sam Perry, but have to do that again. He set a record last year with most tackles in a season, broke it again this year. Defense, 5 interceptions from Caleb Mabb, keep bringing him up. Some great play by Hayden Music and others defensively. Across the board, we've talked about the defensive line. Quite a year. I mean, that's a really lame way to sum it up, but it was an amazing group that went out there, and expectations-wise,
expectations were low. I'm just going to tell you, the preseason, I think we were predicted to win 2 games.
Yeah.
You know, and not any in the Region 1 6A, and so came out, established ourselves early. The Tennessee High game was a big win to start the season to kind of get things rolling, and then we talked about closing the gap. We've got to continue to close the gap. We knew that closing the gap encompassed getting stronger in the line of scrimmage, and we did that, and so we had ourselves in position. I throw the DB game out because we turned the football over too many times.
Yes.
We get ready to go score. We're getting ready to go up 21-7 on them and turn the football over. But the other region games, Jeff County, we've got a chance to win it at the end of the game. Science Hill, we've got a chance to go down there and tie it up. You know, Elizabethton, I would love to have back 2 points there. So as we go through, as we always do, and break down the entire season, when we're watching film, you look at it, you're thinking, we're somewhere between 10 and 15 plays away from possibly being 8-3 or whatever it may be.
Yes, and again, different circumstances at Murrayville. If the TSSAA does what they should do and have 7 officials on the field and/or 5 officials who can actually move, and yes, I did say that out loud. And yes, for those who want to fuss, I was a TSSAA official for 21 years. Took the test for many years. I am faster than the 5 that were on the field. I've had 14 knee surgeries and have the 15th already scheduled to be done. These guys couldn't move, didn't move. They did a lousy job of officiating. Not saying we were better than Maryville, but it was not a game that would have had the score at the end that was there. The Elizabethton game, to me, is the toughest one. Had 2 kicks blocked, had a 2-point conversion that didn't happen that should have, had 2 touchdowns called back, had other plays that were Carter County incidences that you just expect to play. And yes, and for those who want to fuss, I spent 25 years as the radio voice of Dobbins Bennett and did the PA at North. I've been around a long, long time. It happens in Carter County, and this is Tom Throp saying this, no one else. They had a good team. It was a tough loss. That one you kind of put an asterisk beside regardless. This has been a heck of a year, and I will proudly stand up with a 6-5 record and go, this is a heck of a year. And not just the records that were set, but that does show something. That does show a direction. It shows success and things working. And then you go back to the individual kids that we're talking about and the outstanding level that they are in the classroom, on the football field, throughout the school, at other sporting events, they're cheering on their classmates. It's a special group, and really cool that the two juniors that you said have already come to you and said, when do we have that meeting? Because obviously they've seen the example set by this bunch that's leaving.
And it's a climate in high school sports where people go try to recruit other people to come be part of their program.
Yes.
I don't do that. I like what we've got. I like who's coming in. If people want to come be a part of that, we will welcome them to come be a part of it. But I don't feel like I need to go replace any Sullivan Central or Sullivan Heights student with somebody from anywhere else. Now, if people want to come compete with them, that's fine. The only people we recruit are our own middle schools, and we want every single one of them to be here with us. We want people who have grown up wanting to be a Wolf. That's why we go in the elementary schools. That's why we try to go draw those kids with us, because there's something to be said when you're fighting for your own turf, and that's the guys I got right now.
Absolutely. We have talked about that. The pros get to draft them, the colleges can recruit them. You get to play who's in the neighborhood, and we love the guys in the neighborhood. There's no doubt about it. And great season, very proud of everything that was accomplished. Loved watching this team compete, and I think that's the coolest part about it. That's what athletics is about, going out, all the preparation, all the work from last year's meeting to the last snap in the Maryville game. Your guys competed every single play, and that is huge.
It is huge, and I think to the disdain of some that wanted us just to lay down and be run over, but I didn't have a group of guys that were willing to do that. And so I'll take a whole bunch of guys that want to go prove people wrong any day of the week. They're my kind of people.
Absolutely. And again, you touched on a minute ago, and this is the final thing for this episode. Dr. Leo, Mr. Clark, Mr. Carter, across the board, central office in this building here at the Annex, in the main building at Westridge, great support. The community brought out support. Booster clubs, everything was there. Coach Richardson, again, a phenomenal job of being a supportive person. The team deserved the support they had. They earned it, but they certainly had it.
They did. You look at all those individuals involved, and it just makes me say I'm very proud to be the head coach of Westridge football.
Yeah, and we're proud that you are the head coach of Westridge football. Thank you very much for listening. We will probably do this some more during the course of the year. We also want to thank Jason Sandiford and his AV group at Westridge for their hard work in making these happen. Thank you for tuning in to The Wolf Way.